All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. I am Stephanie at Healthie. Today, we're going to be talking about a billing automation function around insurance billing. So, if you take insurance in your practice, or you're thinking about taking insurance in your practice, and if you use Healthie, you know that Healthie supports end-to-end billing functionality. We really help you be able to run your entire practice and accept insurance and collect patient owed amounts all through the platform. But what's new is the ability to automate some of that functionality. So we really wanted to dig in and give you a really detailed tutorial of how to set up some of this automation for your practice. And we'll get into the why and the hows and all of that, but super welcome. Glad that you all are here. If at any point in time you need to drop, don't worry, we're going to record this. So we will send out the recording to everyone who has registered. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the Q&A bucket. So we will be able to get to your questions at the end. Just a quick recap. You're going to hear from two Healthie team members to me today. Myself, of course, I'm Stephanie. By background, I am a registered dietitian. I've worked at the Healthie team for a long time now, and I work on our product marketing team. So I work really closely with those who are building Healthie and communicating, training, and putting together collateral to help you all, providers, understand how to make the most of the platform. And Dustin, who is here today, is a product manager, and he is responsible for all of the strategy and building that happens around payment processing and insurance billing around Healthie. So we work very closely together, and I'm super excited to have him today walk through some of this functionality with you. You could say something, Dustin. I don't have to give your whole intro.
Just saying hi, everyone.
Awesome. Quick agenda for you. If you are new to Healthie, brand new to Healthie, or haven't even jumped into the platform yet, we are going to take a few minutes to just walk through insurance billing at Healthie. What does that even look like? What capabilities are there? Then we're going to talk about the why for the automation. Why is it a benefit to automate the patient responsibility aspect? What will that do for your practice? Then we're going to do a live demo. So I'm going to help walk through exactly step by step how to set this up for your account. And then Dustin's going to talk a little bit about what happens after this automation is enabled, any notifications and transparency that happens there. We'll call out a few best practices, and we'll save time for Q&A. So I did outline your learning objectives here, and essentially, you can go back and you can read these, but really the whole learning goal is for you to know how to set this up for your Healthie account so that automated charges and invoices for copays, deductibles, and coinsurance amounts are processed through Healthie. And that is after a session is marked as occurred. So this is all just process related around that. There's the details there, but we're going to make it really simple. Like there's a lot of insurance billing jargon. There's a lot of technical setup and settings pages and things like that. But once you set it up and it's running, it is fantastic for your practice. So we're not going to get lost in the weeds today. We're going to guide you through all of this and make sure that it's something that you can set up on your own, as we go, or after this, if you want to watch the recording and use that as a guide after this to do that for your practice as well. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Dustin now, who's going to talk about insurance billing at Healthie and the building blocks that we offer.
Thanks, Stephanie. So, yes, I want to talk about four of the big building blocks that go into our end-to-end insurance billing process. So, the first one is onboarding clients with insurance. We have made it really easy for you to gather insurance details during the client onboarding. So we have digital forms, agreements. Clients can upload images of their insurance card, front and back. We accept both HSA and FSA cards for flexible payment options, as well as directly charging credit cards and automations around that. and um, ability to take in those insurance benefit documents from your clients and then use those to get eligibility details. And the next part is the claim creation and status tracking. So in Healthie, you can easily create and automate the creation of CMS 1500 claim forms. You can submit those to the clearinghouse. You can manage claim submissions and follow-ups through our CMS 1500 dashboard, track the claim statuses in one centralized view of that same dashboard. And you can configure your CPT codes, contracted rates, and fee schedules in settings while you're onboarding. So you do that once when you set up your account, and then you're good to go moving forward. Next, I want to talk a little bit about our how you collect what you're owed without the busy work. So you can charge, invoice, reconcile, all of that through our billing dashboard. You can collect your copays, work claim denials, and charge patients either via invoice or direct charge. You can charge their HSA or FSA specific directly. And I do have the chat pulled up, and I saw that someone asked if claims can be submitted in batch. Absolutely. Yes. So, sir, during that on that same claims dashboard that we were showing, you can batch submit claims to the clearinghouses that we work with. And you can switch to cash pay um, if that's part of your business or if the insurance benefits weren't covered or ran out. You can seamlessly switch to charging patients their responsibility for that appointment. And then want to highlight the eligibility checks and ERA. So we do have the direct Stripe integration where you can store credit cards on client profiles and charge them directly. We have automations around both either charging directly or invoicing a client. And we also have our ClaimMD integration for as a clearinghouse. And through ClaimMD, you can get your real-time eligibility checks. You can submit claims directly to them in batches. You can create your claims directly from your charting notes or session notes. And we also support some other clearinghouses as well as full service RCM um, partners and AI powered billing tools. I see another question. No problem answering these as they come in. Does the system automatically charge copays to client credit cards? Yes, that's exactly the topic for this. So that's exactly what we're going to be showcasing is how to set up the copay in your system, how to turn on the automations, and then ensure that the client's credit card is being automatically charged. Yes, can we switch to cash pay if a patient requests it, regardless of the reason to not use their insurance? Absolutely. One of the most incredible things about Healthy that really differentiates us from other EHRs in the market is our flexibility. So we really believe in a pick your own pathway to billing. We understand that every practice has a unique style and every provider has their way that they like to interact with patients and manage the billing portion. And so that is absolutely possible at any moment. You can decide that the client is moving to cash pay and and use the cash pay workflow to charge their card directly or send them an invoice. Is the price for ClaimMD included in the Healthy subscription? So we do honor and use the ClaimMD pricing, so that is separate from the Healthy subscription, but you pay exactly what ClaimMD charges for them. And Steph, interrupt your ad at any time.
Sorry, I lost my mute button. Yeah, and we can get to some of these questions at the end, too, Dustin. But Um, Thank you for answering all of those. To add on about ClaimMD is a lot of the automation and functionality that we've built out also ties in really nicely to our ClaimMD integration, which winds up being through your Healthy account. So you request it through Healthy, and we get you set up with an account, and it is linked to your Healthy account. It is a separate subscription item, but there's really flexible plans there depending on your volume. We dropped the help doc link, and we will include that in the replay as well. So if you're interested in, and we highly encourage, having a clearinghouse to help you manage your billing. So really recommend for you to look into that a little bit further. We will save some of these other questions because we want to make sure we get through the demo portion of this. So Dustin, maybe you can speak to a little bit as to why we built out the functionality for auto billing, for auto processing those patient responsibility amounts.
Absolutely. So we totally understand that in the client patient slash patient provider dynamic, um, taking the payment can create some friction points. And so we've endeavored to make it as easy as possible, keeping that in mind. So we really want to help you accelerate your cash flow. You can collect whatever the patient owes for an insurance-related appointment, whether that's their copay. If they haven't met their deductible, then they owe you the allowed amount. If they have a coinsurance percentage, let's say 10%, then they owe you 10% of that allowed amount. We want to reduce manual work for you. So by giving you a place to add everything and set it, you can almost set it and forget it and know that the system is running and calculating and automating everything in the background while you're focusing on your patient relationship and your charting. We also want to prevent revenue leakage. So by having all of this automated and logged, you and having payer specific calculations for those coinsurance and deductible amounts, you ensure that you're getting the patient responsibility that you're owed. And then we want to improve the patient experience. So you have timely, transparent, automated invoicing, so clients know exactly what they owe, when they owe it. We have the client portal that they can access and pay that at any time. So we're really wanting to create a seamless experience for you in your practice and taking care of the insurance billing portion. So we've endeavored to automate as much as possible.
Thank you, Dustin. All right, thank you. Keep dropping your questions in the chat. They were really good questions, and we will definitely save time for them. So keep dropping them in or use the Q&A function. Let me toggle over. So now we're going to do a demo here. And by demo, I mean, we're going to walk through the steps that you need to do on the Healthy side in order to configure auto billing. So there's no one little button that you toggle on and now all of a sudden your clients are automatically getting charged. There's a couple of steps that you need to do to make sure that your account is configured properly. So we're going to walk through those steps today. And let me know if you can see. Can you see my Healthy screen here? Yeah.
We sure can.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, and let me move our Zoom bar a little. All right, so this is provider dashboard in Healthy, and where we're going to start off is by going to the insurance billing settings. And so that's going to be here in your settings. You're going to go to insurance. All right, so if this is new for you, maybe it's not, there's a lot of things in here, really great things. So take the time to go through your settings if you have not done that yet. There's so much to dig into, so much you can customize and automate and Healthy. So to get set up, you're gonna come over here, you're gonna go edit. And the first setting that we wanna make sure is on for your account, is contracted allowed rates by payer. So this is essentially allowing you to create what in the industry is a fee schedule for your account. And that's where you're going to put in some of your CPT codes and the pricing and some of the payer specific pricing or reimbursements and we'll walk through that. But you do want to make sure that this setting is on for your account. If any of these other settings are off, you may want to consider toggling them on, right? So you're not going to see claims if claims aren't turned on for your account. So go ahead and turn that on as well. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to appointments settings. So again, this is still in your account settings. And this one is appointments, and we're going to scroll through to payments and credits. And here we're going to turn on the automatically invoice clients and automatically charge, right? Which you can. Let's talk about the two different settings here. So automatically charge essentially means if a client has a credit card on file, that payment card will be the one that is charged. Automatically invoice, if you prefer not to charge a client directly, but rather you would have them receive an invoice, which they can pay on their own time, right? They can pay the invoice. They can do it electronically. You can configure that. What I actually recommend is to have both enabled. And what that configuration will do is allow you to automatically charge for the card on file for the copay, coinsurance, and deductible amount. But if there is no card on file, as a backup, what it will do is then send an invoice. That way, in that setup, you are making sure that there is a payment rendered or requested in every situation so that you're not missing and forgetting to collect those patient-owed responsibilities. All right, so automatically charge or automatically invoice. I did see a question come through about, can you collect insurance card and payment card? And absolutely you can. That is generally how you're going to get the client credit card on file in the first place. And that's in your billing forms. In your forms, when you create an intake flow or an onboarding flow for a new client, there's the billing info form. So just bear with me because I do want to take a little detour over into forms, into intake flows. Intake flow is just a series of forms that electronically send to a client, right? So this is your e-paperwork. And if you work with different types of clients, you can send different types of paperwork. And I always recommend that you can hit manage. You can always just search for add form and search. So if these are not in your flow today, you can search for the billing info form and the insurance form that you have here. And both of those are going to allow you to collect your insurance information. So if you view that, this is what a client will see. They will see, the prompts to put in their insurance details there and also the card details, right? A picture of their card front and back. And then the billing form as well, which will prompt them to put in their payment card and the number there. This information gets stored in the client profile, which I'll show you in a minute, but I think this is the nicest way and the most accurate way and the securest way to collect client information. You can always manually add it in, but this is a really nice part of onboarding. So if we go back to settings and we went to the appointment types, we made sure the auto charge, those two settings were on. The next thing we're going to do is go to your services. Don't be alarmed. This is a test account. We have a lot of CPT codes in here. You may only bill for a couple of different codes. So, you may not have a full list like this. Your CPT codes, this is what you are able to bill insurance for. And when you're contracted with an insurance payer, this is what you're going to get your fee schedule for. This is going to say, whichever insurance, let's say Blue Cross Blue Shield, is going to reimburse you at which rate for a specific code. So for example, I'm a registered dietitian, so I would bill primarily for 97802 and codes around medical nutrition therapy. So I find my code and you put in the price per unit. This is just a general rate. People typically have, and I'm not going to tell you what to do for your practice, but generally you have a set rate that you bill for your practice. And that is generally going to be the same across your insurances. What is unique about this fee schedule and what you need to do in order to calculate coinsurance amounts in particular is you need to add the insurance payer because every payer is going to reimburse you at a different rate. So if it is Blue Cross Blue Shield, let's say Nevada, you can put in your price per unit that you will be reimbursed at. So let's say that's $35 per unit. Don't get confused about units. That's not per session. Generally, that's per unit. So in this case, that's a 15-minute time allotment. And you can save that. And you can go in and for all your payers, let's say generally, let's save that. So now you can see 97802. Generally, it is billed at $40 per unit, but technically I am contracted with Blue Cross Blue Shield Nevada at $35 dollars per unit, and that's the amount. So when you think about coinsurance, when you calculate the amount for a session, a coinsurance is generally a percentage of that session. Like the client owes 10% and insurance will cover 90%. Well, Healthie needs to know what the number is, the full number, in order to calculate the client owed amount in that scenario. Okay. So go ahead and that's going to be an exercise for you to do on your end. Add your CPT codes, add in your payer rates, and do that so that the automation for auto pay can work there. All right. So we looked at insurance settings. We looked at appointment settings. We looked at services. The next step is going to be in your appointment types.
If you refresh, it should show up.
Okay, here we go. Appointment types. Thank you, Dustin. These, again, you may not have this many appointments. These are just the different types of sessions that you offer, unique to your practice, but generally there's, initial consultation and follow-up consultation. You do not need to have one that is specific to insurance only. That is what we have in this test account. That's just what we've named this appointment. When you go in, you're going to edit the sessions that you want insurance to be associated by default used insurance with. So if you go to your initial consultation, you edit that appointment type, you can see that we have insurance pricing. And what is the code? What is the code that you are typically billing for this session? So in this case, maybe I want to change that to 97802. This is an initial consultation, medical nutrition therapy, and the set units that is typically billed for in that time frame, right? Knowing how long your session is and the number of units that correspond with that. Right. And then I want to just make sure that insurance billing is enabled for this appointment type. I hope that you're all still following along. If you're not yet set up or credentialed with insurance, this is going to seem like a lot, but this is all stuff that you learn along the way about your fee schedules, CPT codes, units. If you are an insurance billing veteran, then this all should be largely familiar for you. And hopefully you just have to make a few adjustments within your Healthie settings if they're not already configured this way. All right. I think that's it on all of the settings. Dustin, I'm just going to double check that I got everything set up right on the back end before I move to the client profile and show where that client responsibility information lives.
I believe that's everything.
Okay.
Did you save that one?
Yeah, let me make sure we save that. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to head over to a client account here. We're going to go to my test account. I'm going to go to the client's profile. You're going to head to Actions and Insurance. This is populated here because we have previously put in some information here. But if you did the onboarding and had that insurance billing form as part of your onboarding flow, this is where that information would populate for you. So you wouldn't have to come in here and copy over the form. It's directly linked to Healthie in the client's profile. So again, it just reduces any manual errors, transferring over information. I'm going to hit edit, and you're going to see here patient responsibility billing method. And we have copay indicated, but you can also ensure, and this is part of your eligibility check of knowing what benefits the client has and what they're going to be responsible for. Quite commonly, there's a copay of a set amount. So let's just set that copay amount to $40. And that is what Healthie is going to use to auto bill once a session with this client that is insurance billing based will charge the client. So, and then we can also see, let me just go to client overview, and hopefully you can see it here. I was just going to see if I have a payment card. So I have no payment method on file. So this client can't be automatically charged to a credit card because there's no payment on file. All right, so everything is set up. Now, how does the auto billing actually happen? If you go to your calendar and you create an appointment with this client, let's say that's a different client. Let's add a session here. I'm going to select that client we just configured. I'm going to select the appointment type that we made sure insurance billing was enabled for. And now you can see by default, enable insurance billing for this appointment is on. If for whatever reason you want to turn it off, the client's run out of benefits, they're going to pay cash today, you can deselect that. And then I'm just going to make sure I go in and I add that session. When I click back in, you can see now the billing method under insurance pay. You can see price and then a copay. So if this was coinsurance or a deductible amount that was added, it would populate here as well. And you can see the price for the copay is what we had put in the client's profile, which is $40. The auto billing now happens when we click occurred. Oh, and I have automatic charging disabled for this client, but you will, which you can turn off on a per client basis, but I'm going to turn that as occurred. I'm going to save changes there. And then at the end, this client, Mary, is going to have an invoice created for this appointment. And let me see, I don't know, Dustin, if it will, since auto charging was disabled, let's just view profile.
It will. There
Awesome.
should be an invoice.
Okay, and I'm going to go to invoices. Perfect, and here it is. An invoice was created for this client for an appointment with insurance, and then for the $40, which was the copay amount there. And you can preview that invoice. The client gets a notification there, and then they can pay that electronically. If this client had a card on file, auto charging to the card is what would happen. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go back to our presentation because I know, Dustin, you're going to talk a little bit about the notifications, what happens next, and then I want to make sure we save some time to talk through the Q&A.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go back here. Great. Okay.
So what happens next, notifications and transparency. So want to highlight one of the things that you just saw, which is that when you preview the email or preview the invoice, you can see right there that the client has been sent an email notification that they have an invoice. Part of that email is a link to for them, if you've given them access to their client portal, then it will have a link for them to access the client portal. And in the client portal, they can easily and securely pay that invoice. And of course, that's if they have an email address on file. And you can always check on the client's profile on your view. I know client profile and client portal are similar. Client profile is for you, client portal is for the patient. But you can always look at the client profile And under notification history, you can click that, and then that will show you a complete list of all of the notifications that this client has received, including the one that we just sent, which is a payment request or invoice. And you can see the time and the fact that it was delivered successfully. And then next, I want to briefly go over some best practices. And very briefly, because I see a lot of great questions in the chat and definitely want to make sure that we can get to as many of those as possible. But I want to highlight a few best practices. So you definitely want to go through and make sure that you have all of your intake documents and flow set up. So ensure that the insurance form is part of your intake documents if you want to collect insurance information and give clients the ability to upload the front and back copy of their insurance card. Make sure that the billing form is included in your intake form so that you can collect a credit card and have that on file. You want to set up your fee schedule. So that was under setting services where you added that insurance specific pricing. Definitely make sure to contact your payer representative or the person or company that helped you credential and get that fee schedule from the insurance company directly. And definitely want to do eligibility checks. So if you're using our ClaimMD integration, right from the client profile, we have a button that you can click to run an eligibility check for a patient. And that is absolutely the best practice. One click, and you could see that perhaps the patient was incorrect in what active insurance they thought they had. So that's definitely something to do ahead of time and be able to see that they've completed all of their intake documentation. And then a couple of common configuration misses when you're setting up the flow that we just went over. Again, not adding that payer specific rates from your fee schedule, not adding the CPT codes, which are essentially the codes that talk about the services that you provide. And then not setting up the individual coinsurance and deductible amounts in the client profile. So where Stephanie was showing while you're adding the insurance, in the example it was Aetna, you want to make sure that you log this. And again, that's based on the eligibility check. You would know, okay, this client has a copay or they have a coinsurance percentage, or I can see that they haven't met the deductible. Otherwise, you would get that from calling the insurance payer directly.
Great. I think we're into the Q&A now and a lot of really wonderful, yeah, great questions. Let me scroll back a little bit.
Category.
You got it? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just grab the last couple here. Well, I'll get you started on this one. All right, so hello, I'm assisting. All right, so I have these broken into some different buckets. So let's go over questions around Office Alley and other clearing houses. So generic question, are we not using Office Alley anymore?
That's a great question. You want to take that one, Dustin?
Sure, I'll take as many as we have time for. Yes, we definitely do support Office Ally. We support full service RCM partners. We have a full harbor of partners that we work with. So Healthie is really built, again, like we mentioned earlier, pick your own pathway, which if you're using Office Ally, ClaimMD, we do still support those integrations and clearinghouse partners.
Great. Another question, I'm brand new. Is ClaimMD the same as Office Ally, and why would we use one versus the other?
Great. Well, welcome to the industry or private practice or ClaimMD and Office Ally are two different clearinghouses. Really, the main goal and the function that a clearinghouse serves is that we're the electronic health record where you do your documentation and appointments and scheduling. And the clearinghouse helps us in that the insurance industry in the US is completely unregulated and every insurance company can do whatever they want. So there's a lot of uniqueness in each of the different insurance companies. And so the clearinghouse serves as that go-between, and they try and help us ensure that all the data that we send gets to the insurance payer and it gets to the insurance payer the way that they want to receive it. So uh, Office Ally and ClaimMD are exactly the same. They're both clearinghouses, they're competitors to one another. And why would you choose one over the other? ClaimMD is, we're working closely with ClaimMD. We have an integrated integration with ClaimMD in Healthie. So, like Stephanie was mentioning before, you can sign up for ClaimMD directly in your Healthie through your Healthie account. And we have some features that are ClaimMD only to help you manage that end-to-end insurance billing process.
Great. And I'm assuming Availity would be the same story here, because another question is, does the clearinghouse Availity know the copays to charge automatically? So same idea as Office Ally and ClaimMD?
Correct. Just highlighting, yes, Availity is yet another clearinghouse. We don't work with Availity directly, but yes. Well, so the clearinghouse wouldn't necessarily know patient information. You would want to go directly to your payer representative that you credentialed with. So for example, Aetna. Aetna would know because you're credentialed with Aetna. The patient has a insurance policy with Aetna. So the insurance payer, for example, Aetna would be the source of truth of whether the client has a copay or deductible that they haven't met, etc.
And again, we're going a little bit out of order just to keep these in the same buckets. So next one. Oh, we want to go down here.
Yeah.
When clients are invoiced or charged, is it done overnight or immediately after a session is marked as completed?
Yes. So I'm going to answer another one that I saw at the same time. So the way that invoicing and automated charging works is if the client has a card on file and you have automatic charging enabled, and you can disable that at the individual client level. So if it's enabled for auto charge, then as soon as you mark an appointment occurred, we schedule a charge for 2 days in the future. That gives you time to make any adjustments because we know that charging a client's credit card directly is an important thing that you would want to have a little bit of time to ensure that you're getting it right. So the charge is scheduled for 2 days in the future. And if you're using our automatic invoice feature, then the invoice, when you go to the calendar, you mark the appointment occurred, the invoice is created immediately, and the client is emailed immediately, letting them know that they have an invoice that you would like to have them pay.
Dustin, there's a few questions around billing, and let's say a client was charged for a copay amount, but it turns out the copay didn't apply. What would you suggest in that scenario? Because the auto billing functionality kind of happens upfront before the claim is fully processed. So in the event that it comes back and the client didn't owe that, what are the options in Healthie to sort of remedy that?
Yes. So if let's say you charge a $25 copay, and then it turns out that uh, the client has an unmet deductible, so they owe more. In that case, you would want to go and you can invoice them or directly charge them for the difference of the $25 and the deductible amount that they owed. If it turns out that you charged, let's say, a deductible amount, and then it turns out that they actually have a smaller copay, then what you can do is there's so much flexibility in Healthy. So you can, if it was through Stripe that you charged, you can refund the difference. If you issued the payment or if they paid you through an outside method and you logged that, you can go edit that outside payment that you logged. And so those would be the two ways to cover that scenario.
Mhm.
There's one that ties kind of directly into that, and you kind of answered it. Is there a way to automate collecting copays and coinsurance before the visit starts?
Right, that's the one I meant to highlight. Yes, absolutely. So if you have a workflow that you want to ensure that you collect all the payments at the beginning of your day, for example, you can go to the calendar and mark each appointment for the day as occurred. And marking those appointments as occurred means that the automation will run and the charge will go through or the invoice will be created.
And Dustin, what if someone has a credit card on file and then it's declined? So the auto charge was set up, it ran properly, but the client's card declines. Is there any notification or next steps there?
Yes, so the client in this case will not get notified of a declined charge. We've decided to keep that as a provider notification so that you can handle that delicately and as you see fit. But the provider will get a notification that the client's card was declined. And you can also see in Healthy a section under payments called card issues, and you'll see a list of all of the clients who have a credit card on file, and there may be some issue with the card. It was declined. You'll see a reason. And so you have insight into that full process.
Yeah, and I just want to tap on because there's another question too. If storing a credit card on file, you can also have more than one card on file for a client. So and this was when I worked in a group practice, this was really common practice for us to have the clients, let's say their HSA or FSA card on file, but we also did still require a credit card as a backup form of payment there. So you can always add a payment or send that billing info form to a client to request it. And then, you can always have more than one card on file, and, just as like best practice there as well. This will store. When you add a credit card here, it will store into the client's profile. You will only see the last 4 digits, and then Healthie's direct integration with Stripe. If you link your bank account with Healthie, then this is where any payment made here to any card stored within Healthie will directly transfer to your bank account.
Great. And there are some questions in here around getting like CPT codes from insurance companies. That's just not really in the scope of the webinar today, so we're going to skip that because there's a lot of other questions, like this one. So this person, I got my first EOB from insurance today with payment for 3 clients. I'm using ClaimMD. So do they reconcile and send me a report for Healthy, or do I need to reconcile based off the EOB to mark my claim as paid?
So if you're using Healthy with our integration with ClaimMD, then you should be able to see those claim details directly in your account through the ERA, which is the electronic version of the EOB you might have received. So you should be able to see that directly in your account, as well as having the CMS 1500 status be updated by whatever ClaimMD has sent us.
Amazing. Thank you guys. We are at time, so I want to be conscious of that. There is a lot of wonderful questions in here. We do have more resources. So one, if you've posted a question in the chat, we will follow up with some of you if there is specific trainings around insurance billing or how to set up your account. But I want to share this resources as well for you. There is a help doc for this if you go to, and we'll drop that in the chat, but if you go to help.gethealthy.com and search for auto billing for copays, you'll find this step-by-step. So everything we walked through today, it's a written version of that step-by-step tutorial. We'll include it in the replay email as well. And then you can also join our office hours and free live classes. So if you still have more questions, let's say just about setting up your account for insurance, you couldn't find insurance billing settings, anything like that, if you go to calendly.com/healthy-success, you can join in any of our live classes or open office hours there, and our team is happy to help you out in those scenarios as well. So I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Thank you for all of your really thoughtful questions. And Dustin, thank you for showing us about how to automatically collect those patient-owed responsibilities. We hope you found this helpful. The replay email will be super detailed, so you can always come back, watch this webinar, stop it, pause it, set up your account, however it is helpful for you to make sure you get your account configured. All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.